when posed with the question of who are successful DJs or what are some examples of successful DJs, your mind would probably go to the likes of David Guetta, Chase and Status, Calvin Harris, and there's lots of those. And while that may be true, the real truth is that you need to figure out that what success is and what that means to you. So yes, they may be successful DJs in the traditional sense, but there's so many points in between that could be beyond successful for you as a person or for you as an artist. So at the beginning of my journey, people would often ask me, like, what do you want out of this? Whether it was a new booking agent or whether it was friends, family, partners, they would say, what do you want out of this? And my answer was always the same. It was always just to play as many gigs as possible and to make as much good music as possible. And that's kind of still true right now because I love performing and I love making music. But then the gigs, I started getting more gigs and I started making better music. And then when posed with the question again, you just kind of assume that people will know the answer and that your team will know the answer or your family will know the answer. But it's sometimes quite good to check in and just ask yourself, like, what do I want from this? And I saw a status from Gray, big up Gray, on Facebook the other day, and I spoke to Gray as well in person about something similar to this, and it was a good insight because I spent most of my years sort of fantasizing about doing this as a job, and I think as the landscape changed after 2020 and after COVID, it was one thing that I didn't realize that is a big part of this is about building a community and making people feel that they're getting value from you and that people feel a part of something. I feel like humans just like to be a part of something. We like to feel a part of something. Sorry, I'm on a golf course at the moment. So that was one thing that when I first started DJing and producing, the community thing just wasn't really that frivolent. It wasn't really that well talked about. It wasn't really obvious. People's communities weren't obvious. And in order to speak to artists, it was harder. You had to have MSM, or there was this thing called AIM. That wasn't in my era, but I know people, it was similar to MSN, like a messaging thing. People would send messages on AIM. And that was, so it was, you kind of had to know people to build your community or to build a fan base, or to, not to build a fan base, but to build your network. So now the focus did shift onto community, which was something that outside of focusing, because you can't focus on making music 12 hours a day, right? So focusing on things like community outside of the studio hours is a part of the job that I really enjoy. And it's something that's not very typical of a 9 to 5, and it's not very typical of where if you were to work in a studio full time, it's something more tailored to the career. So this is just me reminding myself, and also reminding anyone watching this video, whoever needs to hear it, that you don't need to be the best. You don't need to be the Calvin Harris. You don't need to be the Chaser Statuses, big up Chaser Status, but you don't, the world needs you, innit? If you're making music, or if you're DJing, or if you're passionate about your thing and you're growing a thing, the world needs you. So don't worry about trying to be the number 1, 2, or 3 spot. I've never had an award. I've never had a Beatport number 1. I've had number 1 releases, but not number 1 singles. And back in the day, like the old me would have thought that, like, until I get nominated for an award or even win an award, I'm not successful, which is not the case. So it's just a reminder that, yeah, you don't need to be the absolute best. You don't need to have it all figured out as well. Because I'm constantly reminding myself that that it's always changing, and I'm still figuring it out. Ah, that's so cute. Nah. Does he always do that? Oh, he's posing for a picture.
Yeah. Your ball there. Where's your ball? I can see it. Bring your ball.
And also with production as well, people are always going to tell you, because they always told me, the best practices or like things you should be doing. You need to be doing this. You need to be making your own drums, especially in drum and bass. When I first started, one of the first bits of advice I got, I remember all the advice I've been given over the years. I don't remember many things. I have quite a bad memory, but advice about music production is one thing that always sticks with me, good or bad. And I was told that I should make my own drums, but there wasn't much info online on how to do that. So I started to make my drums, and I'd done a very bad job of it, terrible job. And my tunes sounded trash for ages, but people said that that's best practice. You need to make your drums because they come out cleaner, and you need to layer them. But I didn't know how to do any of that. And there really wasn't much info online for me to find. So people will always tell you what you should be doing, but it's not always exactly right for where you are. And if you feel like that you should be the best, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be. So yeah, a bit of a short one today, but I wanted to get that out of my head and into a video. If you like this one, let me know in the comments, or you can watch this one here if you're on a little bit of a binge, and I'll see you on the next one. Big up.